Hey guys, hi, David Jilks here, and I'm just spending a little bit of time before I go to bed to do a little bit of reading. Um, I've developed a love for reading about, oh my God. Well, actually, I think I've always been a reader. There was a short, brief moment in life where I was kind of off the grid a little bit. I think a little bit of too much partying and having too much fun in life. But I was a big reader when I was a kid, and of course I got into it as an adult. In my late 20s, I got back into reading again. Hey Paul, how you doing, brother? And so the interesting thing is that there's so much power in a book. So I'm gonna give you a few hints and a few tricks perhaps to make reading a little bit more effective for you. So if you look on, so I have two offices in my house, and one office is my assessment room, and then of course I have my main office where I do a lot of my administrative work. And of course in my living room here, let me show you, my ottoman is full of books. And in my bedroom, of course, next to my bed, of course, I have a stack of books. Pretty much, I have them everywhere. And so the reason for my love of books is part of it came from the fact that I never finished high school, and I left home at an early age, and I kind of went bouncing around the planet. And so at the age of 28, when I decided to return home, and I enrolled in, I was working in my father's clinic, and I enrolled in natural health care, and I became a chartered herbalist. And I realized that even though I lacked a formal education, that if I was willing to study, if I was willing to read, anything I wanted to know about anything was available, as long as I was willing to take the time to read it. And so that was about 25 years ago, and I started reading every day, and I haven't stopped. In fact, I read every single day of the week, 7 days a week. It might be an hour, it might be 15, 20 minutes, but every single day I read. And it's something that's very important to me. And I read all sorts of different things. This was a great gift given to me by a friend of mine, Crystal Barr, and this is actually a great series written by Andy Anderson called The Noticer. And if you like a story with a parable, that's actually a really, really great book. I'll just give an example of some of the ones that are on here. John Maxwell, of course, John Maxwell, Leadership, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. So, again, an amazing, amazing book. Carol, actually a book I haven't even got through yet, but one of my favorite spiritual author of mine, Carol Miss, and on archetypes. And the last one here, well, it's not the last one, but just another one here. And this one, Overachievement, and actually the Science of Being Awesome. It's the new model for exceptional performance. This is more on physical health and achievement. So people that, executives, it was really written about executives and how if you became healthier, you became a better executive, you perform better. And of course, I have a whole series of books on Einstein, who's my historical, one of my historical favorites, mainly for his imagination. But again, I've got 40 books sitting here in my ottoman. The one thing that I find that I see is so commonplace in people nowadays is that when they pick up a book or somebody recommends a book to them, we run off and we go grab the book, which is fine. I mean, a great book on the neuroscience. And neuroscience is a great great emerging field. But regardless of what it is that you're buying the book, whatever topic it is, we started to ask questions. Why buy the book? What are we looking for the book? And it's a really important question to ask because it's one of my interests has been for decades now was motivation. What drives people? What makes people do things? What makes me do some of the great things I do and some of the stupid things I do? I'm more interested in what makes me do the stupid things I do so I can avoid it in the future. However, but I was always curious why we read so many books and a lot of people have a fairly good library on a lot of spiritual and personal development, maybe books on health and fitness. But with so many books being sold, why isn't the world moving forward faster? Why aren't we more spiritual? Why aren't we healthier? Why aren't we wealthier? Well, if all the books are out there and every person out there is telling you how to make some money, like Tony Robbins, one of his latest great books on money, like if we have all this material available to us, why aren't we doing better? I mean, we know better, we're just not doing better. And so, I kept asking that question, asking that of myself, and then very curious about that, of course, with the people I work with and colleagues. Why is it we just keep buying? Why is it we keep taking courses, buying books, do all these things, but never really seem to make any progress? And what I've come to understand, now this is not the truth, right? This is not the truth. This is just something for us to kind of mull over as a group. I know it's kind of a one-sided conversation, but you can work with me. I can see your queries come up here as we talk. Something that set me off a while ago, there was, I read a book by Dr. David Hawkins called Power versus Force. And in the very beginning of the book, he said some very profound things that really got me interested in how this guy thought and then the stuff that he wrote. And you may have heard me use this before, and it comes up quite common in my conversations. And he said these couple things, and I'll bastardize the translation, but you'll get the gist of it. First thing he said is that mankind, or womankind, his dilemma has been and will always continue to be that we believe our mental artifacts to be reality. Okay, so simply said, our problem is that what we believe, what we are thinking is accurate, is true. That's our first problem, right? And those of you who know what I'm talking about can nod your head and go, yes, that's absolutely true. It's the unfortunate thing we actually believe what goes through our head. The second thing that he said, and this is the most profound thing, and if you get this, if you really, really get this, then it'll give you a really powerful tool to start analyzing your motives, your behaviors, and again, I think it's powerful, but you can decide for yourself. So the second thing he said is that the challenges that we're having, of course, again, as well, is that the answers we're posing, or the questions we're posing, and the answers we're receiving are biased on the viewpoint of the questioner. Okay, so let me make this simpler because it sounds convoluted. So when we ask a question, right? So we ask a question of ourselves, like, why should I buy this book, Frequency? Right? It's a really interesting book, right? It's all about getting in different frequencies, connecting with the universe around you. Your cells are made up of atoms, or tissues are made of cells. Cells are made of atoms. Atoms have a vibrating frequency. Collectively, vibrating frequencies have a harmonic. That harmonic can actually resonate and connect and vibrate with another harmonic, another vibration, right? So a really interesting book on that topic, if you believe that sort of thing. So, but the question, the query was that when we pose a question, what part of our psychology is asking the question? Do you believe that there is a teenager inside of you, a memory of a teenager, a part of you that still has your psychology wrapped up in the trauma and the insecurity of a teenager? Yes or no? Would you believe that to be true? Give me a show of thumbs or hearts if you believe that part of your current psychology as an adult still is being controlled to some degree by your adolescent self. No takers? Not that brave, are you? Come on. Is there a part of your current day-to-day behavior controlled by the emotional memory, the emotional psychology of a different version of you, a younger version of you? Whether it's a year, 2 years, 20 years. Yeah, of course, absolutely. So if that's the case, thank you. All right, everybody's alive. Yes. Maybe they're just some lag. So if it's possible that a part of your psychology, your insecure, immature psychology still exists inside your mind, which I know it is because because I just know it is, right? I've been at this long enough to recognize that that's where most of our problems come from, is the undeveloped, immature part of our psychology. Is it possible that when we pose a question about what we're going to do with our life, or how we're going to treat the circumstances, how we're going to deal with this problem, is it possible that the younger part of you is actually asking the question? So is the 21-year-old who's just getting their shit together, just trying to figure out life, and we're having this thing go on in front of us, and all of a sudden what your brain does, just to back up here, what your brain does is that it takes all incoming information, right? All your sensory data, right? So your visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory, it takes all the sensory data, and then as it moves in through your body, through a feeling, through a smell, through a sound, through something you saw, something you taste, and it matches it against your history. Where have we smelt this before? Where have we heard this before? Where have we tasted this before? Where have we saw this before? How, where, when have we, or where have we felt like this before? Right? So we know that to be true. So when we're having circumstances show up, and the circumstances is a bit similar to something that's occurred before, and then we access that part of our psychology, and it happens to be, if you're 41, but what your brain is accessing is matching the current event against your 21-year-old psychology, which isn't all that helpful, I'm assuming, and your 21-year-old psychology says, you know what, you should go buy this book, because this would really help, right? So it's not you buying the book, it's your 21-year-old that just bought the book. Okay, does that make sense? So your 21-year-old bought the book. And your 21-year-old took the course. Or the 21-year-old made the mistake. Or the 21-year-old got emotional and freaked out. Or the 21-year-old, right, just stepped into you, it's almost like possession. Took over that part of your psychology momentarily. You felt the emotional rush of being that person, but you didn't know you were 21. Right? Because the brain didn't give you that. The brain didn't say, hey, guess what? We have this little card here. This is your 21-year-old stupid self. So we're going to plug that in, and you're going to screw up the rest of your week by saying and doing lots of really stupid, immature things. And then at the end of the week, we're going to pull that card out, and then you're going to look at your week and recap going, oh my God, did I ever screw that up? All right, I had to go apologize. I had this whole mess to clean up because I was acting like an ass. No, you're acting like a 21-year-old. Right? Does that make sense? So the challenge is that the reason for that little conversation is that when we're posing questions about what we need to do with our life, if we pose it arbitrarily inside of our mind and inside of our psychology, without actually first grounding ourselves, what we run the risk of is accessing the immature parts of ourselves and asking them for their opinion, asking them for their advice, asking them should we run or hide or curl up and die. And when we ask that part of our psychology and we don't know we're simply thinking. But thinking is where? Thinking inside of your brain, where your whole sordid history is stored. All the good, all the bad, all the trauma, all the shit, it's all stored, right? So when you pose the question indiscriminately to your psychology at large, and you throw it in there, the likelihood, the unfortunate chance is that who will grab it is the insecure part of you, and that will answer the question for you. Don't do this, be afraid. Don't trust her, be afraid. Don't trust him, be afraid. Don't make that decision. Don't do this. Don't go to the gym, right? Don't eat the healthy food. You don't communicate with your spouse. Don't do some extra work. Don't look after your health. Don't go to bed early. And we wonder why we do all these stupid things. But generally, it's just because when when the information is coming in, the brain's matching it, and quite often what's happening is that we're accessing the old part of our history. So, does that all make sense? Are you with me so far? Right? So, it really does explain a lot in human behavior. Tony Robbins, of course, he discovered that, of course, over the years. He realized that people were really quite schizophrenic, and we kept accessing these really insecure parts of ourselves. So there's a couple of things I'll leave you with here, and I won't take too much time because I tend to be a bit, well, I talk a lot. But all right, I got to change the rooms here. My Wi-Fi is dying out here. Let's go closer to the Wi-Fi router. Sorry for the trip. So in my other office, this is my treatment and assessment room. All right, so I'll finish off the conversation like this. So when you look at a really great way to monitor where you are, monitor how you are, is by your feelings. So what I discovered for myself, now I'm not sure this will work for you, but you know, something to consider. If I'm feeling bad, I just don't feel good. It tells me I'm accessing what? Unless I'm on fire, unless you're punching me in the face right now, unless I'm in the middle of an argument, chances are that if I'm feeling bad in the moment, yet I'm by myself inside my own space, then the likelihood is I'm accessing my history. So instead of asking, why am I feeling this way, I would ask the question, who's feeling that way? Right? Who is feeling poorly? Who is feeling scared? Who is feeling bad? Right? Who's feeling sorrowful? Who's feeling rejected? Not why do I feel this way, but and the reason for that distinction in the conversation is that when I ask why, first of all, I can recognize that, you know, I've done a lot of work on myself. You know, I'm an adult. Well, I think I am. Right? I think I'm all grown up. So I'm an adult. I think I'm fairly intelligent. I'm well read. I've got a good life. I have some amazing friends. I've got great kids. There's so much the world I should be thankful for. So why should I feel so shitty? Why should I allow those emotions to roll around uncontested inside of my body? And so when I start asking the question, who feels this way? What I'm actually looking for is I'm looking for the historical reference, the other version of me that's still alive and well in my psychology. So I actually do a couple things when I do that, is that I third person the process. So I actually step away from it. So myself here in the present and the now is not taking it on. So I can start observing and say, listen, okay, I'm really insecure. Like, you know, who in my history felt that way? Like, where did that experience come from? Because it's not me. Right now, I should feel good. Where's that experience coming from? And what I can start doing is tracking down my current feelings of insecurity, fear, or whatever, and I can actually track them back to a historical event and to a memory. If I realize that the memory is just that, a memory, but it's not happening in real time, then do I need to accept it? Do I need to take it on? Yes or no? Probably not. But if I don't do that step, if I allow the uncomfortable feelings to reside and I accept them as mine and I take them on, I'm taking on the emotional insecurity of who I was, not who I am. I'm really done with who I was. Yes, thank you for the experience. Glad I went through it. Don't want to do it again. So when I'm feeling bad, it's who I was. When I'm feeling good, it's who I am. Right? When I'm feeling bad, it's who I was, or I'm feeling good, it's who I am. Just say that over and over again, right? When I'm feeling bad, it's who I was. When I'm feeling good, it's who I am. Because almost all the time, probably not every time, but almost all the time, when all the bad stuff I'm accessing, unless I'm really in the middle of this shit at the moment, I'm accessing my history. That's why I feel bad. So I'm feeling what I felt. Right? Perfect. Yeah, good. I'm glad you're getting it. Because it's a really important distinction. Really, really important distinction. But it's like a muscle, man. It just, you gotta work that freaking muscle hard, because it will take you over if you're not paying attention. Okay? So stay with that concept. And remember, when I'm feeling bad, write it out. I'm feeling bad, it's who I was. When I'm feeling good, it's who I am. It's my natural state. All right, second piece. So this is my other office, and again, like I said, I got books all over my house. So here's, other books floating around here. Mainly, these are all mainly medical and dietary. So let me grab a book here. Let's see here. Let's pick a book. How about this book here? Let's say this book is on, it's called Ultra Metabolism. Fix this thing here. Boop. What did I do here? Oh, there we go. All right. Got to stop messing with it here. All right. So when you're going to pick a book, when you're going to take a course, when you want to find something, if I bought this book and said, listen, I'm going to get my fat ass in shape. I'm tired of packing this weight around. This sucks. I'm going to do something different. This book is going to do it for me. Okay. So, who bought the book? Right? Who bought the book? Did I, the intelligent I am person, buy the book, or the really insecure 21-year-old version of me? So, before you buy a book on things to move you forward, what I'd like you to do, what I ask you to try to do, just as an experiment, we can experiment this stuff together, is before you read the book, I want you to sit down and ground yourself. And by grounding yourself is I want you to be present. I want, right? Very demanding, right? You can tell me to go pound sand anytime, but before you read the book on whether it's personal development, spirituality, I want you to ground yourself. Now, it's not uncommon, I know, in religious circles for people to pray before they actually start studying. And what they do is they pray for guidance. They pray that the answers they're looking for, the messages and the teachings that are available and the stuff they're going to read are being made available to them before they start. So they get in this mindset and they ground themselves in readiness to receive this great information, right? So, and it's actually it's a very, very smart thing to do, because when I read this book, if if I failed, let's say, weight loss has almost 100% failure rate to it as a rule, right? So I think, quite a few of us out there were making a difference, but still most people fail. 1.5 billion people on this planet are now overweight. Over 200,000 children are now overweight on the planet, right? It's just so depressing. So if you dieted, let's say you've been on this lifestyle thing for 15 years. You diet and come off, you diet and come off, you diet and come off. If you've lost and gained weight 10 times, but you buy this book because your friend who lost weight and she looks freaking amazing. She's got this, she got abs now, nice little round bum. She's lost all the weight she wanted to lose, and you're going, okay, how'd you do it? I did it by reading this book. Okay, so you're gonna sit down. And your diet mentality said, okay, great, she did that, I can do it too. The problem is, when you look at the book, what part of your psychology is actually accessing the book? Is it the you who is here now, or is it the you who was there previously? Was it the I was or the I am? The chances are, when you pick up the book on dieting, or when you go on a diet, or you go to the gym, or you try any new thing fitness-wise, and you have failed in the past, the failed psychology is the one that's getting you started, right? Which is why we never finish. Because when you think about fitness, you think about dieting, you think about going to the gym, you think about doing cardio, you think about getting up early. When you have those thoughts, if you don't actually give your brain a different place to go to, you're going to access the same thoughts that you had before each and every time. And then you're going to think of yourself as a horrible failure, and I suck, and I'm going to be fat forever, and I hate it, and maybe it's because I'm 40, and maybe I got a slow metabolism. No! Stop accessing the same failure mechanism in your brain that you have every other time. It goes with the saying, if at first you don't succeed, fail and fail again. Yes, if you keep accessing the same psychology, right? It just doesn't work, right? But we don't know we're doing it. That's the problem, right? So before you read the book on diet, before you go on a diet, right? Before you start an exercise program, before you do anything different, or try to do something different, or try to succeed where in the past you've failed before, ground yourself. Remember when I said that, the person getting ready to read the Bible or getting ready to study religious scriptures, and they would sit down, they would pray, and they put themselves in this really great mindset and this really great anchored place. And then they said, then I'm going to open up the Bible, I'm going to read, but I'm in this beautiful place. I'm not going to read the Bible as someone who's who's just so morose. I feel so bad about my life, and I need to go into confession. I think I'm just this horrible, horrible person. What the hell are you going to get from the book? Nothing. All you're going to find in the book is more reasons why you suck as a human being, because you're going to miss all the information telling you that yes, to err is human, and that's why there's this that's why there was a sacrifice of this person named Jesus, and that's why I have all these steps you can take for religious purification. Right, but you miss all that because the insecure, part of your brain will miss all the important details, and you'll just see all the parts that say, yes, you suck as a human being. Thanks, Paul. Well, Paul, this is the closest I can get, buddy. So, before I get on the dieting book, before I do anything else, what I'm going to have you do is do this. If you're here and alive and well, and I'm assuming that you're a functioning human being to some degree, that you didn't get out on a weekend pass out of an insane asylum, right? And you're somewhat of a functioning person, do this for me. Go back and pick 5 things. Pick 5 things. 5 parts of your life, 5 experiences in your life where you know that you were an extraordinary human being. You showed up as a father and just an amazing parent, and you're like a proud parenting moment. Man, I just rocked as a father, right? Or I was a great mother, and I just and I could see that I was so proud of what I overcame. Because what we want to do is we want to mine the virtues and characters of who you are as a human being. Right? So take 5 experiences. And it's like making perfume. We're going to extract the essence of the extraordinary human being you are. And if you can take 5 experiences that where you absolutely just shone as a human being. You have to, you've got to brag a little bit to yourself. You actually got to, my grandfather used to say, listen, if you don't blow your own horn, nobody's going to blow it for you. Right? So you need to find 5 experiences, maybe work with somebody who knows you well intimately, and say, listen, what are 5 things in my life, 5 things where I just showed up as just really, really well, showed up as an incredible human being. And if you can do that, what was the character strength? What were the virtues? Right? What was it? How would you distill? How would you run that down in a conversation, saying, I was this kind of human, I was this kind of father. I showed this kind of character. And if you can do those type of things, if you can go through and take 5 things, and then I want you to remember those 5 things, and as you distill them, write them out, right? You write out the experiences, then I want you to sit back and just feel each one. So when I have an incredible conversation with my son, and we look in eye to eye, and I get it, and I see this young man, this young boy is growing into a man who's going to be incredibly human, I see this look in his eyes, and go, yeah, I had this great connection with my son, and I'm just so proud that I took the time to have this quality conversation with him, because I know he gets a piece of it now, but he'll remember it forever, right? And as I think about that experience, where do I feel it? I feel it right here in my chest. I feel it right here. So I embody the emotion. I remember the event. I embody the emotion, and I let it flow through me. And I stay inside of it. So if I can take 5 events, well, let's say 3 to 5, right? I'll give you some data. 3 to 5 events. If I can sit those 3 to 5 events and just be there and spend 10 minutes doing that, and they go, yeah, that was incredible. Like it just, I have such worth as a human being. And anything that I do from this place is going to be extraordinary, is it not? How could it not? How could we not find extraordinary answers? How can we not aspire to do incredible things based off that foundation? And when you're there, start reading your book. But don't read your book until you're there. Right? Because I believe the reason why you have 35 books on the same topic and yet have done not 1 or 2 things that all these authors told you to do is because you're accessing the wrong part of your psychology. So ground yourself before you start. Ground yourself before you start to explore the part of your life you want to improve upon. Because if not, you're at risk at accessing the same failure mechanism, which is your old psychology, which is alive and well inside your brain and in mine as well. And I know, I am so very clear when I'm being a moron. I can see it as plain as day. It just doesn't mean I'm getting over it soon, but I recognize it in myself, and it was so clear, so vividly clear that that's exactly why I was there, which is a bit distressing because I wasn't prepared to do anything about it at the moment. So does that make sense to you guys? So, I know, just interesting conversation, but I know as I had the good fortune to travel the world a little bit, and spending a couple months in the jungle, 3 months in the jungle, having an opportunity to reflect, because we had some space to think. Part of my goal in life, and I think my vision for my life is my job. I think my purpose is to take things that are kind of complicated and make shit simple. I just want to make shit simple. From the I Am Project to personal development to even spirituality, and of course with our Factor 3 fitness program, I just want to make complicated stuff simple. Because not everybody has the opportunity to sit down and read and pour through information. Not everybody has that desire or that interest or even that bandwidth in the beginning. So I was very fortunate to have the shitty experiences I had, to start with. I was very fortunate to find some great mentors along the way. I was very fortunate, in quite a number of ways. In fact, despite all the freaking chaos that went along with being alive on this planet, I wouldn't change a thing. Because it's exciting now to go back and say, wow, okay, this all makes sense. And I get to unravel the stuff like a Christmas present, a couple times a year when I figure something new out, when I discover something new. So you are my crash test dummies, all right? If you don't mind, all right, be my crash test dummies. Take it for a test drive. Let me know how it works. First of all, I believe it makes sense, right? Intuitively, it just makes sense, right? But I want you to practice it. And the thing is, it won't work unless you're really willing to give it a good try. So before you pick up the next book, before you pick up the book you're currently reading, sit back, take the time over the next couple of days, and really work on those five events. And then to carry them with you like the chunks, little pieces of gold and a little pocket purse, right? Keep those things around, because I think the power in your life and the amazing things that you're able to create, that you're on the cusp of, just require a vantage point shift, change of perspective. And I believe it's already there. You just have to go mine it, bring it out, know what it is, know where it is inside your body. And of course, remember, we want to spend more time being in the I am rather than the I was. The I was always makes you feel bad. The I am is awesome. All right, guys, my Ionix tea, some Ionix and cleanse, it's gone cold. And my cat's trying to carve a hole through my door. So I got to take off. Have an incredible night. Thanks for hanging out. Actually, I really appreciate it. I love I love ranting, but I love, as I talk, I start to figure things out inside my head, and I'm very appreciative that my conversations have some value to you guys as well. So we'll keep doing them. Let's keep the conversation going, and let's see what we can create. Let's make it. Let's get ready for 2018. I'm gonna blow 2018 away. There's so many things I want to do, and I can only do it from being in the I am presence of the extraordinary things that I have access to in my life, and I want you guys to come with me. All right. Have a good night, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.